Hello again and welcome to Money Matters. Hong Kong's Fintech Week kicked off with an announcement that regulations would be put in place, making the city a center for virtual assets for things such as cryptocurrency and all things blockchain. But first, a look at the Digital Art Fair, back for its second year in Hong Kong. This time, many NFTs were paired with traditional art as the market grows. Just 1 year ago, the crypto market was having a bull run, and art NFTs were being dropped for 7 digits, like hot potatoes. What kind of effect is the crypto winter having on digital art, and how is the space evolving?
This general is me. So I'm become a general. Holding, General Jackie. And also, you can find a lot of Jay's friends in this picture.
What's General Jackie doing?
General Jackie is painting this artwork. Yeah.
It's great. You've got a palette, you've got your sunglasses.
Yeah.
London-based Chinese artist Jackie Tsai is this year's featured artist at the Digital Art Fair. The focus is Asian art, and as the foremost Asian contemporary artist worldwide, having collaborated with the likes of the late Alexander McQueen, as well as Shanghai Tang, the piece we're looking at is a collaboration between him and Mando pop singer Jay Chou.
We literally look at all his album and look at all his songs and find out all the songs with the great idea about a lot of songs. So in this picture is about 60 plus Jay Chou songs.
Jackie is known in the art world as a traditional artist. While he created a floral skull NFT in 2019, which sold for over 2.3 million Hong Kong dollars, the highest price for an Asian NFT work at the time, he says he's actually not new to digital art.
Well, I'm doing like a blue and white porcelain, wood carving, lacquer carving, canvas to try to please the traditional art world. People may think I'm a traditional artist, but people don't know is all my artwork come from the digital form first. So I create all my artwork, sketch, mock-up from the computer. I keep all these files in the last 10 years, but cannot sell it because there's no such things called NFT 10 years ago. NFT, for me, is almost like a complete my art circle. Because before, the 4 topics in my art is the West, East, past, and the present. Now I'm doing the future art and make my art in a full circle. This is the true Jackie Tsai artwork.
His work is featured in the immersive room as well, a collage of East meets West, past and present, featuring traditional and modern imagery, which includes the neon lights of 80s Hong Kong, his famous skull imagery in a light-hearted animation, and the stunning dragon animation. He says the possibilities opened up by digital NFT art are endless.
There's a lot of new possibility, like augmented reality, like the VR things. So I think it's out of my imagination. Definitely for artists, there's open a new door, completely a new world to the artist.
This year, Fair founder Jillian Howard says they're working with 150 partners and galleries, displaying some 400 pieces, a sign that there's much more acceptance from the traditional art market.
This year, with more galleries on board, of course, it's going to be a very interesting mixture of traditional art plus digital art. For example, one of the work that we exhibited this year is a combination of a physical painting with an NFT artwork together. So it combines the physicality and the digital work together.
She adds that 60% of the art displayed comes together with a physical piece, and many of the artists featured come from traditional backgrounds.
We get both, right? You get the NFT certificate tokens in your wallet, and you get the physical painting that comes with it. And it feels like the best of both worlds, the digital and the physical world.
She says that while the crypto winter might affect sales and NFTs aren't as hyped as last year, the flip side is that it could be a good time to get a valuable bargain.
NFT actually holds values, and art actually holds value more than currency. Because when the numbers of Ethereum goes down, the cost of the NFT doesn't change. And over the course of the years, it actually increases in value. So I hope that is something that we can prove over the years. I've dealt with collectors as really looking to invest this year because they found a lot of advantage of the bear market.
Sotheby's Max Moore agrees and says the crypto winter actually strengthens the NFT digital art space by separating the art from the focus of cryptocurrency prices and those who are only interested in financial gains rather than the growth of this new art space.
I think what's interesting is that you're seeing a period of consolidation and regrowth. And you start to see the divide between a collector and maybe an investor right there, where one's thinking more about the value of crypto and one's thinking more about the value of the artwork, the intrinsic value. And so, it's a very similar comparison in the traditional world where people are collectors versus investors in stocks and bonds and real estate, because there is a value in art that cannot be defined so linearly within the context of the framework of our understanding of investment.
In just a year, the hardware for displaying NFTs has also changed greatly, making it comparable to traditional art. Does it help now that you've got the technology of the screens to hang stuff? Is that a game changer?
I think it's going to be. It was always a huge question to answer for any new collector. How do I exhibit this work of art so I don't just treat it like a stock on my phone, if you will. So I think with the focus on the display of digital art in the physical realm, there's going to be there already has been a huge kind of adoption.
In fact, it's not just flat screens that can be used for displaying NFTs. 3D imagery is also possible.
We forgot about a lot of other technology that makes the digital art great. It was immersive experience. It was the hologram that's available now. The VR, AR. So this experience is to focus on all the possibility that technology can bring to the art scene.
And Jackie looks forward to the wide variety of ways he now has to create and share his artwork.
I would definitely say I will creating different form in my art, like the still imagery, sculpture, 3D art, and also animation. So I think I want to play everything.
Winter is coming, but spring is around the corner. Hong Kong Fintech Week went off with a bang as the government announced plans to introduce a licensing regime which would make the city a virtual asset hub, allowing blockchain-related industries in cryptocurrency, NFTs, and the metaverse to thrive. Financial Services and Treasury Undersecretary Joseph Chan said just an hour after the news came out that both fintechs and large institutions had already responded favorably.
Having this statement showing a government commitment, showing a very clear path of our regulatory direction would definitely induce confidence to them for further investment in Hong Kong for virtual asset or the fintech business by and large. And also we have shown our understanding that the possibilities and opportunities from virtual assets into metaverse, into Web 3.0.
Yatsu, founder and chairman of Animoca, said it sets Hong Kong apart from other jurisdictions and puts the city ahead in the virtual asset space.
And the fact that Hong Kong is doing it, I think, puts them ahead of probably almost any other government in the world. I can think of many places that have actually sort of engaged in this world in sort of blockchain the way that Hong Kong government has right now. So very, very hopeful and very proud.
The new licensing regime will cover virtual asset providers, tokenization of green bonds, and allowing retail investors to trade in cryptocurrencies.
SFC will be conducting a consultation study in terms of how we can also give access to retail for virtual assets. But of course, we need to safeguard the investor protection and also other type of potential risks as well. We do think that with certain risks addressed, offering this to retail eventually is very possible.
It will also see the development of ETFs for virtual assets. Combined with the various Connect schemes in the city, this could give access to a wider market. Does this also mean that people in the mainland will have an opportunity to invest in digital assets via Hong Kong?
Well, at the moment, if we look at the Wealth Management Connect, right, we're talking about funds which are qualified under the Wealth Management Connect could be sold to the mainland investors. Today, SFC just issued a new circular about ETFs, right, in terms of link to digital currency. So you can see that definitely, on one hand, Wealth Management Connect will continue to develop. On the other hand, our fund industry or the ETF markets linked to virtual assets are also developing. So there are many possibilities, I would say.
Up next, a look at what life is like on the mainland for expats. Stay with us. Welcome back to Money Matters. Many expats live and work in the Greater Bay Area. Guangdong province has the highest expat population in the mainland. While they may not be familiar with the language and the place, many of them work for mainland companies. Reporter Alice Khan finds out what attracts these expats to work in the GBA.
What color does Helen like best?
All right, keep going.
Unit 3. Excuse me, Sam. Are these your pencils?
American Brandy Nicole Swan has been working in the mainland for 16 years. She goes to the studio for dubbing work almost every day.
I am a dubbing artist. Sometimes I don't do the dubbing. I let others do it. I would have meetings with them. Sometimes we have a lot of meetings. When you are an entrepreneur, it is a 24-hour job, irregular working hours.
There are plenty of foreigners working as dubbing artists in Beijing and Shanghai. Brandy works in Guangzhou. Her job is to do voiceover for content of textbooks and online games. During this COVID pandemic, Brandy decided to set up her business with partners in Guangzhou.
Sasha farted! Yeah, crazy, 夸张, exaggerated. Okay. Yeah.
Sir, the armored titan and the infected are attacking us.
Initially, I came to China when I was 20-something. I went to Zhuhai and worked as a teacher in 2006. I only planned to work as a teacher for 1 year. So I signed a 1-year contract and planned to return to the US because I thought it's easier to find a job after working overseas. I couldn't imagine I knew more and more people here because I knew the Chinese language and had more opportunities. So in the second year, I came to Guangzhou in 2007, 2008. I didn't go back since then. Every day, I learned something new in China. A new character, a new friend from China and from other countries as well. In the US, particularly in the South, we hardly found a foreigner there.
Brandy decided to stay in China because she recognized it was a big market. However, it wasn't easy for her in the beginning, as she couldn't read or speak Chinese.
I always told my friends that I felt like a newborn baby. I even didn't know where the toilet was. I saw a hole on the floor, but it's not a toilet. How to cut up the fruit, how to eat. I didn't know how to use chopsticks. I couldn't speak. I really felt like a baby without my parents' help. Americans are very independent, so it's very embarrassing to ask for help. Can you go to a bank with me? I don't know. Also, I didn't like this kind of feeling, so I learned Chinese and acquired the skill quickly.
She decided to learn Putonghua. She said everybody she met was her teacher, including taxi drivers.
Ware Liu, please. I guess he isn't Cantonese. He is a Hunan guy.
Yeah, he's from Henan and he's like...
Yes, he is like 28, 29. I think he has one kid.
2 kids.
I almost got it right.
Foreigners' Putonghua is more fluent than the CCTV hosts.
Brandy speaks fluent Putonghua after living in China for more than a decade. She's involved in the local culture and she has witnessed the growth of Guangzhou.
Like it used to be this busy, crazy city with everything everywhere, and now it's like calm. You know, you don't see people selling things on the street as much. You know, you don't see people like hassling you, like come here, buy this, do this. You know, like it's more, 文明吧, like it's more civilized.
You know, like it's more civilized. Nobody will spit, cross the road illegally, like people didn't have pets. When I first came to China, I remember asking people, like, I love cats, do you have one? Now everyone has a pet. So I think that would be the economy. More they make money, more they can spend. So now I can have a pet, and I can buy clothes for my dogs. More money. China is more rich now.
Brandy misses her country, so she meets up with her friends looking for American cuisine.
How's your life here? Something like that. So if you feel comfortable, yes. If you don't, I didn't know the reasons. I just got tired of being sad at losing good friends. It's like until I find someone like you and Patrick.
Most foreigners come to China on short-term contracts, so it's difficult for Brandy to make friends with other Westerners. Patrick and Lily are her Western friends who also live in China.
Brandy's very nice. We became good friends once we met. You would know she's a nice person after chatting for a few minutes.
Guangzhou is in the south of China, and then my hometown is also in the south of the U.S., so I think some of our cultures are the same, the weather is the same. It's a little bit more like relaxed and comfortable here.
但是我发现有一个问题，就是他们可能来了1年2年 right? 然后就走了. The companies don't have a lot of help for the foreigners to integrate with the locals. They give you help maybe to find an apartment, maybe to get a visa, they show you where to eat Western food, but they don't really help you in the workplace.
According to the Guangzhou municipal government data in 2019, about 80,000 expats live in Guangzhou. The majority are American. The rest are Korean, Japanese, and Indian. Most are corporate staff, their families, and students. But the number of foreigners has been decreasing since the outbreak of COVID. As of April 2020, only 30,000 expats live in Guangzhou. Professor Han Yonghui of Guangdong Academy of Human Resources says the impact of COVID is short-lived.
In terms of travel cost, because the flights are infrequent, so plane fares are expensive. It creates a financial burden on the expats. The economy will recover after the pandemic subsides. I believe the impact of the pandemic is only short-term.
It
won't affect economic development, hence the talents are still attracted to the GBA.
In an effort to promote the GBA, Guangdong People's Foreign Friendly Association works with Mainland media, inviting more than 10 foreign influencers to visit startups and villages in Guangdong province. This media content provider, Fernando Munoz Bernal, has joined this visit. He's very impressed by the development of villages.
We visited a place called the 1,000-year-old village in Qinyuan, where a friend of ours shared some pictures that he had taken 10 or 12 years ago, and it was just completely different. So we got to see the efforts that have been put into bringing tourism money, so to speak, to this area, not only do they get an income from the work that they do in these restaurants and hostels and all these places, but also their living standards have been elevated to conditions that are very comfortable and adequate for anybody. That was a beautiful experience. It's some of the things that I enjoy experiencing and sharing with my audiences in the West.
Fernando is a Colombian. He used to be an English teacher. He gave up his position at an American university when he was 26. He came to China because he thinks it offers a lot of opportunities to expats.
In Japan, because of my passport, it doesn't matter what kind of education you have in Japan. If you don't have a passport from a native speaking country, then you will not be accepted as a language teacher in Japan. So looking at China, there were thousands of offers and many opportunities at a level that I was at. I was teaching at a university back in my home country, Colombia, and I got an offer to work at a university in Xi'an. So it just made sense to me to go from one university to another to continue propelling my career forward. Today, as always,
Fernando finally settled in Dongguan. He set up an educational center there, but closed it down 2 years ago because of the pandemic. But he says there are still plenty of opportunities in the GBA.
When I first started my company, I needed to have, if I'm not mistaken, 500,000 renminbi as capital investment. Today, you can do that with almost 30,000. So it's just inviting people to come to this area to start their own ideas, their own projects, their own companies. And it's just, you can see the numbers. Dongguan at one point had something like 80,000 enterprises. It's a very fertile area. It's a place where it is so easy to develop ideas, to exercise entrepreneurship.
In the first half of 2022, about 6,100 new foreign companies set up in Guangdong province with 97 billion renminbi in investment. It indicates the GBA is still a favorable area for foreign investment. That's the show. Thanks for watching. See you next week, same time, same place. Bye for now.